Steve, as always, great to chat to you, and thank you for popping in. Now, you and I, we both work in what people may say are digital businesses. And I think sometimes people forget with algorithms and apps and smiley faces and automated text that there's actually people driving this, and the successes in the digital world are powered by people. Now, I'm not saying you're getting on in years, but I know you have interviewed, is it over 500 people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have
astonishes me, but yeah, it's true.
You'll have learnt a lot in that period. Are there still surprises out there when you're hiring, or you're talking to teams that do hire?
Do you know what? I would say not so much after that. But I mean, that's the curious thing about it. There's, I mean, I think if I think about, I went for a couple of interviews. I had jobs for a couple of years before I, was with Bespoke.
Yeah.
And I went for interviews, and it's sort of a private, it's a one-to-one, isn't it? And you've not really got a picture of what hundreds of interviews are like. But when you've seen hundreds, you realise that there are patterns. And to me, the patterns don't match at all what you're told.
Right.
They should match. So, for example, I mean, broadly, we've got this way of doing an interview, which is this Q&A thing, and you sort of give the answer that you should give, and you're supposed to come and give a story about it.
You think you're supposed to.
Yeah, it's a bit like a dance kind of thing, really, and it doesn't tell you very much. So, I mean, we've got that the format to me just doesn't work, or the traditional format doesn't. We've not used it for years ourselves now. But then there's another thing that really surprised me, and it probably took me 10 years to sort of spot it. And it was that person after person would come in and answer the questions, and maybe bring a couple of questions themselves, and some would more take you in a different direction, and some would follow the script completely, and so on. But what I found was, if we actually we sort of step back a bit and have a serious conversation with them, what's actually really important to you?
Yeah.
Is this job really what you want to do? Or what are your core skills, or what's the thing that makes you feel alive? We're really finding that the job as they'd read it wasn't what they wanted to do, and they weren't really happy with what we're doing, and they didn't have a picture of what to do in 3 or 5 years. They'd literally just been guided by 2 or 3 decisions by managers of asking them to do something, and they'd ended up doing it. And we found when we sort of ripped the plaster off that, we could have these conversations which led to us saying, well, look, you're not right for this, but if you do this, this and this, you're going to fly.
So people were potentially going down rabbit holes of maybe led by a technical ability, even though it wasn't really what they sort of wanted to do.
Yeah, or led by the needs of the employer that they were with, but they'd never been asked. They hadn't been asked in appraisals. They hadn't been given a career planning session, or they were going for interviews just based on what they'd done before.
So they'd almost taken themselves out of the equation, and what were being led by their CV, or what that hero statement,
or by what you're
like.
told is the progression. So the classic one is, we interview developers and marketers in the main. There's some other roles, but developers and marketers. And a common question would be, so this is fine, you're applying for this job, you've got some relevant experience, but what's 3, 5 years, what's even 10 years, where do you want to end up? And the thing that everybody says is, well, I hope to manage a team eventually. And I used to sort of write it down, but then I started saying, do you?
God help them.
Yeah, because everyone I know that's made that jump just says it's really stressful, and they don't get to do the work they love anymore, and they don't enjoy it, and they wish they'd never done it. So, and they said, well, actually, I don't think I do, but what else can I do?
Right.
So should we get a whiteboard out? Where are you now? And there's 4 routes you can take. You could become the senior expert in this within 2 years. We could build the plan for you now in 10 minutes, or you could pivot to whatever it is. Or you could run the team, that's another one, but what does it look like? Well, that takes you 10 years, it gets you here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just get into that level of conversation of actual, career planning, if you like, or life planning. For us, we got brilliant hires because everybody was completely aligned, and we could see them through that journey when they joined us. And for the people that we had to turn away, at least they went away with some insight and some light bulb about I've something new to think about.
Yeah.
And a couple have sent messages saying, you know, it's took my career in a different direction. You know, 3 years on, I didn't get the job, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's quite must be a very brave thing to do. Do you think there's times when people want to change direction but maybe physically can't because their skills are so unique? Let's say a developer or someone who knows a particular, you know, process on an oil rig or knows how to fly a helicopter, or that.
Yeah.
If they were to suddenly move away, we'd imagine immediately your wages are going to drop.
Yeah.
So it is, I guess you need a bit of luck, but also to be within a good company where you can perhaps move sideways as well and move around.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a couple of things that seem to work for lots of people. So one of them is people come in as generalists in an area.
Yeah.
And just a really common one is actually they're doing these 5 things in digital, but they're the master of one of them.
Yes.
And it's, if you niche in this, you can be the head of this in a really big national company, and you can double your wages in might be 5 years or something.
Yeah.
So and we've seen that with people who've joined us as well, that they've been able to go on really fast 3-year progression because they're just completely like laser focused on their core area.
Yeah.
But they'd never had a conversation about that.
Yeah.
You know, and 60% of what they're doing every week was just not really lighting a fire in them, and they were never going to be the number one at that. So.
Right. So it's, again, it all comes back to what I love about these chats that we're having, not just with yourself, but with other, you know, business owners and thought leaders. There's some common things that come down, and it's sort of thinking ahead.
Yeah.
You know, but also being kind of true to yourself and not being led too much by external forces who might quite happily tell you where you need to spend your money or where you are going to thrive or what's best for you. And sometimes you kind of, you know, just on that, and obviously with the take on digital, how much should we listen, in your opinion, to those inner, you know, because the head might say something, but we know we're led by the heart, especially in digital, when I still think of it as noughts and ones, where there's no grey area. Yeah. But in that industry, and you know, you've got lots of very sort of sticky members of staff who've been, by that I mean, you know, 3 years plus. Yeah. Is that because they've been allowed to flourish, or is that because you pay them ridiculously well? I'll send you a CV afterwards. You know, what's the secret to hanging on to people?
Well, I suppose there's a common theme actually, and it's that, well, one thing they've with everybody, they have a 3-year plan. They don't have to follow that, but it's a route that will get them somewhere that's better than where they are now, so they can veer off at year 1 or 2. Yeah. But I think there's a sort of, maybe it's a safety actually, thinking about it. It might be that they feel safe, but actually there's I don't know, there's just a comfort. Maybe there's a comfort that the people around you are bothered enough to work that out with you. Yeah. So for example, someone comes for an interview with us. If we're thinking of hiring, we do a 90-minute workshop first on what's your next 3 years, and actually map it out. Yes. Not just in a, you know, it's various different factors that we map out, you know, including what's your salary and what else is happening, what's the training, what's the skills development, and what's your job title changes. And you can see in 2 years I'll be this, you know. But I think there's some comfort in knowing there's a journey in front of me, a path in front of me. It's got options in it, but I'm in control, and it's getting me somewhere. I'm definitely getting somewhere here. Yeah. You know, and if you can be enjoying your work and you've got that progression as well, then it's, you know what I mean? It's fulfilling some of our just basic human needs, I think. And I think what's particularly fascinating in a business like yours, where you have marketeers but also developers. Now, immediately, I would say you've got 2 different personality traits there. I would almost say you have to have. Yeah. Because of, you know, I know the way that, you know, certain, you know, developers or very logical thinkers. Yeah. And for marketeers, you need a bit more flamboyance and a bit. Let's go at the pub and you know, have a chat, and then the magic will come from there. Yeah. What's your sort of take been on that over the years? Have you found that, and there's maybe even, you know, other personalities in there that are likely to fit? So for a marketeer or a developer, you know, what's no, there is something in that. So I think, I mean, for one thing, I think the marketeers thing is not quite as for the stereotype, because it's a lot of data. I mean, it's data driven now.
Are you saying I'm just in the pub too much? Is that the? I don't drink a lot.
I wouldn't want to imply. You said it, not me. But yeah, we're dealing with lots of data and marketing
yeah.
as well. Sure, I know what you mean. There is something there. There is a difference in personalities, definitely. I think also we try and hire developers that have got a warmth about them, or what would it be, like a real, like the people.
Yeah.
You're a bit. Not every developer's that way, are they? But so we join them together a bit that way. But then the other thing is running the personality profiling on everybody and letting them see each other's. So we understand as a group. Yeah. So we understand as a group, this is what these people need, what fulfills them. This is how you approach them. This is how much we should leave them to their own devices. And if we understand, even if you can't remember the specifics for everybody, the principle that everybody's unique and will deliver, if they're allowed to deliver in the way that's right, best for them.
They'll deliver that's best for them.
There's like an empathy around the whole room in all directions. And I think even just that is a healthy environment in itself. Yeah,
because that allows people to get stuck into the things that they love best and their way of working.
Yeah, and appreciate that the person next to them isn't being funny with them. They just work differently. Yeah.
And do you find that people change within your business? Their core skills may stay the same, but their personalities and their approach and their wants and needs, certainly over 3 years.
Definitely. To be honest, definitely. I mean, the main thing I'm thinking is confidence. I'm seeing the confidence of people when they move on versus when they're off. And it might be because you arrive at a point where you're after getting out of somewhere, But we definitely see that. I mean, we're quite happy if somebody comes in for that 3 years, has the plan, and achieves some success with it. There's always chances there to move somewhere else with us, move somewhere bigger, but we'd love it if they go off somewhere else and it's it's got them a massive step up in their career and you can go off and do this. I mean, I think now about the faces of people that have been on that journey and I know where they are now all around the country and I love it. Yeah. I love the fact that, one of the steps up for them was, in our environment.
So they'll look back and think fondly of their time and the skills that they were.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I definitely look back fondly on them. So.
Yeah, superb. And any, we've probably not got time for a lot of this, but knowing what you know now, which has probably been sort of self-taught and you've learned from being exposed to, do you wish that someone was there right at the start to impart all this knowledge on you, if it could have been a download?
Yeah. To be honest, that's the big thing, and that's why I quite like talking about it, because it's like myself. Obviously, I'm from a creative background and a technical background actually, but I wasn't a business person or entrepreneur. I wasn't a people manager. Didn't have zero skills or understand. It's not why. It's not why we founded the business. It wasn't to do that. And I've been for a pint with so many people in the same boat, confused about why things are not working with the people. Certainly when we were younger, anyway. And I think, if I could have just had somebody who was 10, 20 years ahead in the journey, who'd been there, and I could just sat with them every month. I mean, the difference when we started hiring coaches in and took, one particular coach was just fantastic for us, and the water seemed to clear, and I thought, hang on, I get this. Yeah. We've been doing it wrong. Yeah,
but it's our roles now, I suppose, are slightly older, not elder, to impart that knowledge, and if we're asked to be open and, as you say, it's just about helping people come through, isn't it? So if we enjoy the best journey we can and get to the end of it with fond memories and a full address book of people we can know, like, and trust, and
definitely. Job done. Everyone's always trying to do the best. I think that's the thing. Even when there's problems, it's just somebody trying to do what they think's the best thing. Yeah. Virtually in every case, anyway. Yeah. So, but if you can step back and just be grown up, then you can have the conversations that set up brilliant years ahead, I think.
Step back and be grown up. I think for world leadership, Steve, I think that's quite a noble point to end on. Step back and just be a bit grown up. Yeah. As ever, Steve, fantastic to chat to you, and thank you for sharing some of your knowledge.
Cheers, Rob. Cheers.